What up, what up, what up, what up? Give me just a minute here, finishing the setup on my end, and I will be live here. Just a moment. Just a moment. There we go. How is everybody doing today? I want to thank you all for tuning in. This is the Lawn Care Help Desk, the live stream, whatever the hell you want to call it. It doesn't matter to me. I'm on board with it. The way this show works is it is a question and answer format, meaning you ask questions, I provide answers. One of the things I have to clarify is that I am human, I am fallible, I do make mistakes. Therefore, anything I do make as far as a recommendation is concerned, please double check to make sure I did not misspeak. There have been times where I made a mistake and did not understand we were dealing with cool season grass, made a recommendation to spray nutsedge with something like Monument. And let me tell you, that's a big no-no because Monument and cool season grass is a recipe for no more cool season grass. Also, I want to make clear that the recommendations I make are based off my experience. My background is in turf grass. I've been in the lawn care side of it for the overwhelming majority of my career. So that's where I feel most comfortable, and many of the recommendations I'm going to make are going to be based off that. My opinions, my approaches to lawn care are all forged off my experiences. You may have different experiences, therefore you may have different management methods. Now that we've got all that out of the way, how is everybody doing? I want to thank you all for being here with me tonight. Finally, we have hit the 9 o'clock hour. I kind of got locked up there. I was watching the final round of the PGA championship. Shout out to Morikawa for taking the championship there. In his early 20s too, which is nothing. I mean, that's how you get. Whoo, that's pretty good stuff there. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, at least. Yeah, nice little. Everybody there kind of hovering at 9, 10 under. Leading into the back nine, and just the way it all worked out. Worked out great. All right, so again, I want to clarify that the way this live stream works is you ask questions, I provide answers. The best way to do that is to put those questions into the chat. I will answer the questions one by one as I see them as I come across them. Understand I'm on about a 30-second delay. So when I'm actually talking versus when you hear it, there's going to be about a 30-second difference there. So therefore, if it takes me a minute to get to your question, understand I may be answering the one ahead of you. And then the second piece of that too is that it may take me a hot minute to get there, just due to the delay alone. If I skip over your question, please feel free to ask again. I do make mistakes, and I'm doing this all live, kind of stream of consciousness with no real direction. So, mistakes will be made. Now, that being said, first one I saw here. And I think this is kind of a controversial topic that, we could talk about 10, 20, 50 different ways from Sunday, and everybody who manages zoysia grass is going to give you a different answer. And JH said, when would be the last day you would recommend fertilizing zoysia based off so many days before the first frost? Not necessarily. I would base it more so on days before potential for disease potential for brown patch to appear in zoysia grass. And so, and what I'm talking about there is when fescue or when your cool season grasses are growing most aggressively, that is it's going to be around the higher probability stage of disease development in zoysia grass. So, we're talking about that period from February, March through the 1st of May, and then again, probably something like October 1st through Thanksgiving, that time frame. So realistically, I feel fine going up until, say, if you're in that kind of transition zone where you don't go dormant until, say, Thanksgiving, then I feel fine making applications all the way up to about the 1st, maybe midway through September. I'll tell you, if I'm fertilizing in mid-September, I'm not putting down some sort of polycoat, polyon, XCU, PCSCU, methylene urea at some pound and a half in per 1,000 square feet in that time frame. What I'm doing is backing that down, and I'm just going to use something quick release. And probably what I'm going to end up using in that one is, without a doubt, probably ammonium sulfate. And a lot of times I'm also making my applications of pre-emergent in that time frame. So it's real easy. It was always real easy for me to mix up in the tank. If I was, running with a hose, I could throw a little bit of ammonium sulfate, a little potash, and my pre-emergent, and give it, a quarter pound, half pound bump right there before we start moving into disease season, if that makes sense. So the frost date has nothing to do with it. What it has to do is the potential for brown patch in zoysia grass. My favorite person is in the chat at some point here. There is someone who has taken the time out of their day to make a YouTube account that it says Matt Martin sucks. So kudos to you, good sir. And I'm blown away at your persistence. It's just a phenomenal, bizarre thing you have going there. So awesome work. I'm sure you are just an absolute killer at parties. In fact, you might be an actual killer. Bermuda Brian says, what's up? Was going to ask about turf type tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, or mixtures in part sun shade backyard. Now, there may be more of this. Oh, wait, I see it on my other monitor over here. I'm in Northwest Georgia. I'm overseeding my backyard that twice failed Bermuda. Turf type tall fescue has caught. My backyard backs up to woods, so it's part sun, shade. What specific variety should I go with? Well, here's the thing. If you're in Northwest Georgia, what I would be planning for is something that's going to have high heat tolerance and high potential to fight brown patch. So those would be the ones I would be looking for. So I don't really have anything for you on that route. It's great. The way you're able to discover that turf type tall fescue works for you well in that scenario is good. And usually Bermuda brine, what I end up seeing is in the instance is that whatever you're going to find from your seed distributors in your area, if you're going to a brick and mortar and buying something, normally, not all the time, but normally they have things that are going to be better fitted for your area. If you're curious about what you should go with based on trying to find like seed characteristics or something like that, you can always go to ntep.org, and you can look at their tall fescue varieties, hop on over to the transition zone and see which ones perform best there and choose to do those. Now, one thing that they do not classify those as are ability to grow in limited light. But understand, turf-type tall fescue is all going to perform about the same in the absence of light. Now, I'm not saying, I don't know. Are you dealing with 4 hours of sunlight or 6 hours of sunlight? The reality of the situation is this. All turf-type tall fescues are going to perform about the same in that scenario. Would fine fescue do a little bit better there? Maybe just a hair. Would you notice a difference? Probably not, because fine fescue isn't going to do anything really for you in Northwest Georgia. It's just going to be more of a headache than anything. So I hope that answers your question. Where I would start, me personally, if I were in your situation, I would go to ntep.org, take a look at the transition zone, the tall fescue varieties, and pick from there. Make sure I can actually get those variety of seeds and then run with it in my backyard. Part sun, part shade, turf-type tall fescue fits for that. Can you go Kentucky bluegrass for your full sun area? Yeah, but if you got partial shade there, Kentucky bluegrass ain't gonna make it. So there's no real point in throwing Kentucky bluegrass into the mix. I would just stick with tall fescue. If you want to get real froggy with it, try and establish some zoysia there, and skip the whole cool season approach. But it's kind of higher risk, high reward there. Because if it doesn't work, you're going to be out a lot of money. All right, let's see. Can you go into a little more detail? How important is phosphorus during the seed establishment period? How does adding humic acid at such time cancel out plants' access to phosphorus? Okay, yeah. So phosphorus is one of the most important parts of seed establishment. Like, in terms of importance, it's right there with nitrogen, and phosphorus is right there with it. It's like this. The thing is that you can't have really any phosphorus uptake unless you have nitrogen available. So it's something you kind of got to balance there. And what's important is that you have phosphorus that's plant available. What does that mean when I say something is plant available? That means it's soluble in water. I mean, you take phosphorus and you put it into water and it goes into solution. Whatever your phosphorus source may be, whether it's DAP or MAP or TSP, triple superphosphate, whatever the case may be, it needs to go into solution. So what I'm saying is, and this is based on everything that's out there, you look up study after study, if you take humic acid and you take a phosphorus source and you mix the two together, it precipitates out. It's no longer in solution. And if it's not in solution and it precipitates out into a solid, the plant is not going to take up a solid. It's impossible. The way a plant takes up nutrients is based on what goes into solution in water. And then as it takes up water, ultimately it's taking up these nutrients as well. The plants will chase water. The root system will chase water. And if it comes into water that has a high nutrient load, it will cause a proliferation of roots in that area. So if it moves into an area that has water, but there's no real nutrient load there because it's all precipitated out, it's not in solution, then you're not going to get that proliferation. But really the main thing is the preservation of that initial root system that forms out of your seed. The seed is only going to contain so much energy to allow so much root development to take place before, at some point, phosphorus is going to have to play a role in it. So when it comes time, especially in a professional setting, when you're trying to get something established and you've got a tight window to get it done, and the difference between you being able to go into winter with a developed lawn and the difference between you going into winter without a developed lawn is the difference between a successful next year and a failure of the next year. That's when it becomes even more important. So that's exactly how it works. I hope that helps. Logan, if you're not sure, feel free to ask again if you need clarification on something of that. But again, it has to do with affecting the solubility of phosphorus. Humic acid affects the solubility of phosphorus. Ryan, it was great. And that's exactly how it was. Andy Kelly said, I've had grub damage in the same spots this year as last year. This year, I treated in late May with GrubX and triazicide insect killer early July. Any recommendations for the rest of the season next year? If you still have them now, I would do an application of Dilox. Dilox would be my one to go to. As a control, like quote unquote post-emergent control, rescue application. How about that? Best preventative liquid fungicide for grubs? Did you mistype that? I think you mistyped that, because we do not need to put down a preventative liquid fungicide for grub. If you're looking for a preventative product for grubs in a liquid form, the best one would be Acelepryn. Acelepryn is going to be the bee's knees when it comes to grub preventatives. How do you kill parasitic nematodes? And scared me to death, son. I love you, buddy. Good night. Oh, hi, princess. I love you. You be a good girl, okay? All right, now go lay down. Man, my son crawled in on the floor and touched me, and it scared me to death. See you, buddy. Okay, so how do you take care of parasitic nematodes and a nematicide? So there's several different nematicides that are out there, but you can type in nematicide for turf. Let's see, did NC State have one that kind of went through? But anyway, you type in nematicide for turf, and you're going to see lots of articles there. They're going to list different things. The hard one is going to be finding one with a residential label, but they are out there. And you can get a little squirrely, too, with using some odd insecticides that have some ability to work on it. But it just as a general rule of thumb, I would start with a nematicide. Can I use Grass Out Max Clethodim on Poa annua without killing my fescue or bluegrass? It says on the label it will kill Poa. Just don't want to use it if it's going to kill my grass. Clethodim is not labeled for residential lawns, so I certainly would not be applying Clethodim to a lawn. Brian Russell says, Matt, can I apply MFT and other liquid peptides to hydrangeas and other flowering plants for root promotion? Yes. Applying on monthly? Yes. But again, lower rates are going to do you better. Stick to the lower rates. Let's see. No Karens in Hawaii. What's up, Ray? We got OSU Turf Man in here too. How the hell are y'all doing? It skipped down to the bottom, so I got to go back up and find my place. Give me just a second. Oh, look, Ray and OSU got you in here on the nematicide. You got Exteris, fluperam, and abamectin. Abamectin, that was the one I was kind of like, it's an insecticide. It might get you some stuff over there too. Let's see, Bermuda. Oh, that was you, Bermuda Brian. Shane Brady said, trying a new turf type tall fescue seed blend. Couldn't find the in-depth trials on Motif turf type tall fescue. I have never heard of Motif turf type tall fescue. And here's the thing, is that may be the name that it's distributed under, but it may go by a different name when it's in the in-depth trial. So just looking here, I see something. What is this? It was in the INTEP, but it looks like it was in an older INTEP. Boy, what are the years on this? I can't see it. It's on such a small print. My goodness, this is really difficult to read. Yeah, Shane, if you go to integraturf.com, integraturf, they show here it was tested in terms of best quality. Motif was up there, Rising Moon, Bullseye, Dynamite, Lateral Spread, and Meridian were all high quality. It doesn't say where this is. This says Schedule B, whatever that means. And then genetic color rating, it was up there at one of the tops too. So I don't know when this was performed, but it was performed. So I would look at maybe some earlier years and see if you see anything there. Yeah, because that's really all I got on that. Matt, what are your thoughts on applying gypsum to clay soils to improve them? Any value or just a waste of time? Gypsum is the biggest myth in lawn care. Gypsum is worthless unless you are dealing with sodic soils or soils that are low in calcium, but high in pH, which is kind of an enigma. Like it just, you're not going to find it that way. Gypsum has zero effect on clay soils. So the idea there is that maybe if you get more calcium into the soil, it's going to be a softer soil, whatever it may be. It's a bunch of smoke and mirrors. It's a bunch of lame ass wishy-washy magic, right? Magically it's going to happen. Now, in terms of sodic soils, the idea is to displace sodium with calcium ions is the whole idea there. But sodic clays isn't going to make it less clay-y. No, it's not. It's just a bunch of really just magic. So I don't know how else to describe it. It's not going to work for you. Hey, dog, what the hell are you doing, sir? I'm going to box your ears, man. That is unfrickin' necessary. I caught it over here on this. Monitor. Man, you're going to get bopped in your head, dog. Unnecessary. Golly. Okay, where am I? Oh, look, Ray jumped in. Gypsum is a waste of money unless your clay has excess sodium. Yeah. Is there anything you can do to accelerate Kentucky bluegrass recovery from a couple basketball-sized fertilizer spills? Just make sure you leach out as much of that fertilizer as possible, because as long as those ammonia levels are staying that high or the salt levels are staying that high, it's not going to want to grow back into that area. But in terms of anything special you can do to fill it in, no, really just water and time are the two things. And time is obviously the hardest one to buy. Dwayne Sapp says, best way to kill crabgrass and Dallas grass in warm season lawn. Man, there's so many different options now. I would probably be looking at, what is it? What's the one? Manuscript is probably what I would be looking at, especially kind of where we are now in this time of year. Let's see. I'm using Turflawn ester to suppress Bermuda and get the grass ready for renovation. Should I keep applying or just glyphosate the lawn? I mean, if you've been spraying Turflawn to this point, I don't know why you would glyphosate the lawn. Is Turflawn very effective in suppressing Bermuda? It's okay, but it's not great. It's not going to perform anywhere near as well as Pylex or Fluazafop, whatever that active ingredient is. I can't remember right now, but whatever the trade name is, but the active ingredient is Fluazafop. Ornamec over the top. So it's not going to perform anywhere near as well as one of those two. As a sidekick to one of those twos is where it's going to really start to shine. So I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know how far you're into it or not. So it's going to be real hard for me to say. Unfortunately, that's one of those things that's a judgment call. You've got to make your best determination there. I'm not able to do that over the internet. Damon Williams says, Matt, scientifically, is there anything to year-over-year gains in turf type tall fescue? Last year, I did almost a full renovation. Some dieback this year, but not like last year. Can I expect anything in year 2? Yeah, so you've got grass now that has learned to acclimate. It's got its first year of learning to acclimate to your environment, your soil structure, your weather patterns. The longer it goes and it's able to continue to adapt to that, there is a higher probability that it will continue to perform better year over year. It won't be just huge leaps and bounds, but it will do better. So that's why the idea is go ahead and do your renovation, but go ahead and continue to seed into it, whether you want to stick with those cultivars or you want to stick with new cultivars. You're going to have to do that because turf type tall fescue you're going to lose 5, 10, 20% of it every year. It's just the nature of the game, especially when you're growing it in a hot environment. Anything over 85, it's trying to die. Like it's for real. Fescue's like, I'm done. I'm checking out. I'm ready to die. So that's kind of the approach there is, go ahead and do the renovation, whatever it is you're trying to do to make sure you have a uniform stand of grass. But the maintenance piece of it is still there. Now, should you kill it all off and resow it every year? No, that's ridiculous. And I just bang my head against the wall. I see a lot of people do that. One, it's not good for the soil because you go through such a long period of time of just general exposure. And two, the grass never gets to really adapt to your environment. So it's always going to struggle that first year. And then you're unhappy with the way it performs the first year. So you go ahead and renovate it again for the second year. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So, whatever your game plan is, my point is, yes, there are year over year gains. They're not going to be leaps and bounds, but they will be positive gains that you do pick up. Roshan Parker said, what would best mix with Kentucky bluegrass, turfite tall fescue, or rye? Rye would mix best with Kentucky bluegrass, and it would stripe best with Kentucky bluegrass. Turfite tall fescue and Kentucky bluegrass don't really go well together all that great. Can I mix Acclaim and Triclopyr? You can mix Acclaim and Triclopyr, but do not mix 2,4-D, Mecaprop, or Dicamba with Acclaim. Do not do that. But you are perfectly okay to mix Acclaim and Triclopyr. When would be the last day you recommend to fertilize Zoysia? Oh, okay. We talked about that. Where am I? Deep Roots Lawn Care said soil test was high in phosphorus. Still okay to apply a starter at seeding. My pH in potassium is optimal. It is okay, but again, the part you kind of have to play into it is this, right? So the way I would approach it is how much phosphorus have I applied up to seed time? And I would make sure the phosphorus I do apply at seed time does not overreach how much I would need for the season, right? So if I apply 4 pounds of N, then I know the plant is going to require somewhere around a full pound of P. If I've got plenty of it in the soil, then I don't need to apply that full pound of P. I didn't apply any this season. Then I can get away with applying a half pound of P at seed time because I applied it, and even though I still applied it, I applied it at a point of still being in deficit, meaning that all the fertilizer I did at the point of the year will reduce my phosphorus levels. Even though I still applied a half pound of P, those levels are still dropping because I did not apply enough P to account for how much N I applied on the season. I hope that makes sense and you understand. Soil has adequate P if overseeding in a moderately dense turf. With the existing turf exudate to release P for the new seed? For the most part, yes. But I think that kind of plays into what I previously said and kind of my idea with that. Let's see. Whoa, we jumped. Man, we got a lot of stuff coming in on the chat. I love this. Best way to handle quackgrass. Your best bet is going to be going after something with like fluazafop and maybe triclopyr combined with it, or maybe fluazafop plus tenacity. But really, at the end of the day, those are all wild ass guesses, and it's probably the best attempt you have at getting control over it. But I highly doubt that's going to be the big kicker that's going to be able to get it for you. In reality, there is no good way to handle quackgrass. If you got it, it's just a nightmare, and you may want to consider just glyphosating out. Where am I? You said humic acid prevents P from being absorbed during seeding. How long does this effect last? That's a good question, and it's not really completely, totally understood how that works, right? And when it does become available again. Is it 90 days? Is it 120 days? Is it 180 days? I can tell you now, like for instance, the ones I mixed up just to see what would actually happen with it face to face. That was mixed up the 1st of July, and it is still completely and totally separated. And when I'm talking about these things, if y'all are wondering where I'm talking about it, and I said, well, I took the pictures and all this and that, you can go to the Carboner Facebook page, and you'll see it right there. It says Lawns Are Toasty, what you can do to help. It contains all the information we did in there. I'll also throw a link up right here, just so that way if you want to look at that directly. No, I did not feel the earthquake this morning, man. I did not. Damon Williams said, by the way, Matt, a week ago, I did the teeny weekly app at D10, like the hybrid program, and it's growing like it's spring. Mowed on Wednesday, and I've got to mow again. 90-degree heat. Yeah, baby. Tapping into the untapped. What's up, Mark Macchione? How are you? Good, sir? It's been a hot minute. Lawn stay green through record hot and dry July. Hard to give. I don't know. It may be, may not be. Who knows? What's up, Leshy? How do phosphites fall into a fungicide program? Easy. When you're spraying a fungicide, add a phosphite to the mix. That's just going to further your spectrum of control. Plus, you get to capitalize on the biostimulant effects that go along with applying phosphites. Let's see. Anything to spike Roundup to make it more potent? When should I start watering the area I'm killing off to ensure everything is completely killed? Yeah, well, it depends on what you're trying to kill. So first things first, usually add ammonium sulfate, which is on the label typically. Second of all, if you're going after more diverse broadleaf weeds, then maybe add something like 2,4-D or dicamba as a tank mix component to it. If you're going after more like woody brush or something, then dicamba or triclopyr, dicamba and fluroxypyr alongside your glyphosate. Rarely did I apply just glyphosate only. Normally, if I was applying just glyphosate only, it was in a fallow process where my first application would be glyphosate plus 3-way, and then my follow-up application would be just glyphosate in that instance. So I hope that kind of helps out there. Electus for grubs? Yes, Electus for grubs works just fine. Let's see here. It's blended with Rambler and Paramount. Yeah, I don't know either of those just from the top of my head. And Shane, the other thing you may want to look to is look in different regions to see if it was in that particular NTEP trial instead of just the ones that were necessarily in Nebraska in your area. Trey Doherty is in north central Ohio. Mostly Kentucky bluegrass and POA annual with some perennial ryegrass and tall fescue. Plan on putting down POA constrictor tomorrow and pushing growth on good grass with extra MCX this fall. Good plan. Sounds good to me. I don't see anything that's bad about that at all. As a fumicide, it's a good product. It's a good time to start applying it. So I'm with you there. It looks good. Matt Miller said, how much in is too much for St. Augustine plugs? Established roots for 30 days with starter fur and then in RGS then applied. Carbon X at 8 pounds per 1,000 2 weeks ago. That's entirely too much. There's no reason to apply 8 pounds per 1,000. Personally, I would be applying something like 3 pounds per 1,000 in a 2-week interval, something like that, and just gauge. If it looks like it's starting to stress out a little bit from that 3 pounds per 1,000 every 2 weeks, then I would probably skip another week and let it go 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks before reapplying. In my opinion, 8 pounds per 1,000 is way too much for St. Augustine plugs, but I don't know. Wherever you are, it might be fine for it. I just don't have a lot of experience with St. Augustine plugs, so I'm not going to be able to tell you really one way or another. I can just go off what a hunch feeling I have. Joe Castello said, what's better on turf type tall fescue? Overseed a decent lawn or dethatch? Get rid of tired grass, dead, and debris, and push for fertilizer. Overseeding is normally my best way to go. Now, in different areas, you're going to get different responses when you do choose to do this. So if it's already a decent lawn, I would definitely plug it and put down a light amount of seed, 3-4 pounds per 1,000, something like that, to keep it fresh, fight senescence, get rid of some of that old tired grass. But really, if the grass is getting tired, then there's something wrong in the program that's taking place. Now, it's coming out of summer, and that just may be causing a little bit of discoloration. But as you move into the fall, it should be screaming back with authority. So tired, when you say tired lawn, I think about senescence, which is the natural aging of the plant that takes place. And there are lots of things you can do to fight senescence. That's one of the big kickers of using biostimulants or products that have a systemic acquired response, a SAR response. So, and lots of kelp, all those fun things work in that regard to help fight senescence. So if you're seeing that, really, are you dealing with thatch in a residential lawn with tall fescue? No, you're probably not. Aldo Beltran said, does isoxapen work for winter weeds in Bermuda? Wondering if it's worth it compared to prodiamine. Yes. yes, it does work for winter weeds in Bermuda. You would want to put that down September, October, November time frame right there. Your whole caveat to that, though, is that you just don't get a huge window of control out of it. But yes, indeed, it does work for winter weeds, much better than prodiamine does for broadleaf weeds. That is broadleaf weeds. Can A-Dog get a hell yeah? Let me see it. Let me see if I can make it do that. Hang on 1 second. Oh, I've got this turned down. That's why I didn't do it. Let me try this. Hell yeah! Hell yeah, A-Dog. There you go, sir. I have a katsura tree, which I like, but it throws suckers everywhere in my backyard. If I prune the suckers at ground level and apply Tordon, will it kill the main tree? Suckers are a distance away. What is Tordon? Hang on 1 second. I'm going to say no, that's a bad idea. But I cannot remember the active ingredient in Tordon. 1 second. Oh, picloram. Yeah. You're going to take out the tree there, buddy. In my opinion, you probably would. If not the first application, definitely if you ever decide to do that again, it's toast. So I would not plan on doing that. Robert Butler says, I've seeded within a week of using Sedgehammer before with no issues. Am I asking for trouble doing the same with triplet? I have enough scattered broadleaf weeds that I need to broadcast it. A week, you're kind of getting a little squirrely with triplet. Sedgehammer, I definitely say no, there would be no problem with that. I've done it at seeding before with no issue. Triplet moving into a week, you're starting to get, it's questionable. Ray said, do not apply Tordon to suckers. It will fry the tree that it's attached to. There you go. I have a tall fescue affected by brown patch and Pythium. It has turned brown to the point of looking dead. Will it come back in the fall, or should I dethatch and reseed? Here's the thing, John A. Maybe. There is potential it will come back. There's also potential it won't come back. It just depends on how well it tolerated being defoliated or having all its foliage killed by the disease. Sometimes it fully kills the plant. Sometimes it just knocks the leaves off and it grows back fine in the fall. So unfortunately, right now, it's just not really anything that you'll be able to tell. So personally, your idea of dethatching and reseed, I think that's a good idea. Slit seeding, zip seeding, any of those would be a good fit. That hair light you're using makes you look like an angel. Right? I've got, let's see. I can't point the camera up enough. And it doesn't help. I'm going so damn bald now, but I've got these lights on my ceiling that are really bright, and I try to point them straight down, but of course they go just in front of the green screen to set my hair a golden. Matt, what would you say a safe amount of time for using humic acids before reseeding or post-germination from an overseed? I don't know. 30 days, 45 days? I don't know the answer to that. Paul Rhodes, my neighbor sees my healthy dark green turf, but will never ask or take advice. Okay. When his St. Augustine starts to get lighter in color, he just adds more ammonium sulfate. Well, you know, lots of people do that. Sure Power says 30 to 40 days before seeding turf type tall fescue. I have a few weeds to clean up. Yeah, as long as you're not going to be seeding in 30 to 45 days, then you should be fine. I would not try and cut it close with Sure Power because Sure Power contains flumioxazin, and flumioxazin is very powerful. Same material, same active ingredient that's in SureGuard, and SureGuard is a non-selective, it works at the soil level, and it lasts for a long time. So if it says 30 to 40 days on a Sure Power label, by God, I am waiting 30 to 40 days at minimum. Any harm to oversee annual rye Bermuda lawn in Atlanta, Georgia? Love the green in the winter. Yes, do not do annual rye. If you're going to do a rye, do a perennial rye. You will be so mad because the annual rye, depending on the type you do, will be the most awful yellow color you have ever seen. And you talk about even more of a difficult transition the next year than perennial ryegrass, it's annual ryegrass. So I would go perennial or one of the transitional ryes that have been genetically bred to tolerate the transition of those other grasses. What happened? I got skipped down to the bottom there. Okay. Why is leaf spot more common in Bermuda versus hybrid Muta? I'm not sure it is more in common Bermuda than hybrid Bermuda. You know what? Here's my take on it, Jason. Just thinking about it. I'm free balling here. I don't know how accurate this is. But a lot of these new hybrid Bermudas have been genetically bred for genetics that allow it to be less dependent on light. Like, for instance, Tiff Grand, for instance, requires, it does better in the absence of light than, say, just a pure common. So my thought process is that normally you see common break out with leaf spot even just for extended cloud cover, right? So it can't tolerate, it can't handle the extended cloud cover, it can't handle any kind of interference with light, whereas a hybrid Bermuda can. And that may also parlay into the disease potential of it, because the disease starts to show up when there's really any hindrance of light. Just a wild ass guess. I have no idea if it's real. Let's see here. Oh, Ray said too much leaf canopy, genetic difference. Tiff Grand, for example, is very disease resistant versus other varieties. Another good point there. COVID test today. That was no fun, but results were negative. Surgery's on. Attaboy, Paul. Congratulations, sir. Timmy said, Matt, what do you think a proper amount of N is on a total renovation in Maryland with Kentucky bluegrass for the rest of this year? I was going to do 2 apps of X-Star, but where would you go from there for N? Easy. I'd put down a what do you call it? Go get you a bag of 46O or a bag of 2100 ammonium sulfate, and I would put that down for the remainder of the year. And as far as a total amount, I normally did, let's see, what did I normally do? I normally did 2 pounds in. Maybe if I had an extended growing season, I'd end up getting down 3 pounds of in the fall, but that was only in a kind of an occasional thing there. Oh, look, Ryan says no more than 2.5 pounds. The newer elite varieties do better with less in during growing. There you go. Polo Fields said, I only applied 1 application of Turflawn Ester. Should I switch over to Ornamec and use that to see better results? In my opinion, yeah. Again, I kind of harp on this a lot, but my whole deal and why I love the Pilex is that I'm selling a program, not wishful thinking, right? So with Ornamec, there's no real program approach to getting rid of Bermuda. With Pilex, there is. And it's easier for me to sell that to a customer than it is to say, well, I'm just going to start spraying it, and I'm going to continue spraying it until I see it all go away. I don't know. Dwayne Sapp, I have no idea where to get manuscript less than that. Any recommendations on mowing before or after PGR? It's going down tomorrow. You can, look, Ryan chimed in there. Apply, then mow. Let's see here. Just got 2 bags of 818 and a bag of 2404. Let's go. Yes, sir. Hello, what is the good rate Fusillade 2 on turf type till fescue? I don't know. I don't think Fusillade 2 is labeled for turf, but I'm going to say something like 4 ounces per acre. 4 ounces per acre. Low rate. 4 ounces per acre. Something like that. Bermuda lawn in Bartlett, Tennessee. Hey, my man. How are you, good sir? Yeah, for not really for a certain. I'm from Memphis. I did lawn care there for a long time. Realistically, I'd say September 15th would be a good cutoff for you there, Mr. Myers. Say hello to my friend, Neil and Emiko up the road from you there. But I know you don't know them. I'm teasing. It wasn't supposed to rain today, 5 days after seed down. Wind switched. Now I have a storm overhead. Gotta love the Midwest. Oh, man. I just got bounced around again. All right, where am I? Is there a market for organic lawn spray business? Is there? It depends on where you are, Paul. You know, I saw it here in Knoxville, and they sprayed urea and Barricade and 2,4-D all day long. I see lots of people advertise organic lawn care, and they're not doing anything different than the other lawn care guy down the road. So is there a market for it? There's not a market for organic lawn care results, but there's probably a market for it in terms of how you market yourself. But you have to sleep with actually whether you're doing things organically or not. Because people do not like organic lawn care results because it's not lawn care. It's proliferation of weeds, and it makes people incredibly angry. I know so because I've made that mistake. Turf type tall fescue and some ryegrass in New York State. Can you talk about a few different ways one can use X-soil at the time of overseeding? Yeah, I mean, you're overcomplicating it. NGB. Really, you can apply it before you seed, you can apply it at the same time you seed, or you can apply it after you seed. That's really about it. Again, and then you vary your rate based on how much physical manipulation you need to achieve out of your soil, or you're doing it to just get down a nutrient load. Realistically, 10 to 20 pounds per thousand is going to maximize any kind of visual effect. Anything over that, you're actually trying to physically manipulate the structure of the soil. So I hope that makes sense. Lord of Junk, Matt, where do you get these phosphites you speak of to spike in with the fungicide app? I mean, you can get them all over the place. If you just type in phosphite online, you'll see them all over the place. We should have some on the Carbon Earth website soon. Let's see. I have overseeded. Gray leaf spot is horrible in St. Augustine. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I have overseeded my backyard green with Kentucky bluegrass and bent. I applied pre-emergent 60 days ago. Will this hurt, or can I apply? Matt Martinez, sir. Those are some good jokes. You applied what? I don't think that was a genuine question, sir. I never get leaf spot. Maybe it's because my height cut. I would say so. You are. But actually, I get it back there. But I'm nowhere near your height cut, though, Telly. So I'd say that probably is a piece of it. Any harm bouncing the grass in and out of regulation? Not that I'm aware of, but there may be someone out there that knows more than I do. Matt, last week I thought you mentioned that X-soil is impacted by temperature. Was planning on using it during my aeration overseed in late September. Worth it, or wait until spring? Either or. Yep, temperature is the big thing, right? So as long as it's warm outside, that means it can do its thing. So yeah, if you're seeding in mid-September or late September in North Carolina, it's still pretty doggone hot outside. Like, it was still in the 90s in October of last year. So yeah, I mean, you're good to go there. You're perfectly fine. Let's see. Sandbur and goat head. What? Sandbur and goat head. Oh, I skipped down to the bottom, didn't I? Will prodiamine control these? Seems like I didn't see them listed. I don't know goat head. That's out of my area of expertise. Sandbur, I think you're going to be fine with, but I have no idea what goat head is. So I don't know, sir. I do not know about that. Maybe one of the other guys in the chat would be able to help you out. Check the other monitor. Ray's coming in. There you go. Should I wait the 4 weeks with triplet? I'd love to get everything overseeded early for once if possible, but I don't know. I would not wait. I mean, I would wait at minimum 2 weeks. A minimum of 2 weeks. That's it. Anything tighter than that, you're asking for trouble. What is the best way to combat Japanese stilt grass? Turfside tall fescue in New Jersey. Pilex is great for that. Quinclorac works for stilt grass as well, I believe. Apply 32 ounces of blue dye and you'll be fine. Has corn gluten meal been shown to be an effective pre-emergent? No. So it's one of those things that no, it is not very effective. There's been questionable ones that have been questionably effective, but in reality, it's been not very effective at all. What is this go ahead y'all are talking about? I've got to look this up. Go ahead, weed. Huh, interesting. Looks a bit like chamber bitter, or almost kind of like a spurge with a yellow flower on it. This is interesting. Dealing with the dreaded goat head weed. Boy, it's got a reputation here. My goodness. Yeah, man, I've never had to deal with this. We do not get this. Oh, look at the seed heads on them. Yeah. Oh, man. This is some Mississippi crap right here. We used to get these things in Mississippi real bad. Interesting. I don't remember them ever being a thing, but again, what are y'all saying? Y'all are applying on it? Methylfuran methyl? Yeah. You shouldn't escape that. Will X-Drive be available to the DIY market? I have no idea. That's not up to me. I don't make those decisions. Garner Urkai says, I got seeds in the mail from China, so I've been mailing them sand spurs and packs of MSM to be applied at 4 ounces per acre, promising them that wow moment in agriculture. Boy, tit for tat, good call, sir. That is hilarious. Yeah, you go plant these. Is X-soil impacted by temperature? It will affect the rate of release by it. Yes, because it's an organic matter, and for any organic matter to release, you have to have microbial activity. And if you want to have microbial activity, you have to have the soil temperatures that allow microbial activity to take place. Normally, that's around 55 degrees soil temperature. So if you're above 55, you're okay. Matt, I want to slap some Carbon Earth Co. stickers on my backpack sprayer. And here's the other thing, Damon. I've got one guy in Ohio that puts it down in November every year, and he loves it. So, and he has no problems with it. It's not that it doesn't work if you put it down in the cooler temperatures. It just takes longer before it really starts to show you anything, because you got to wait till it starts to warm back up before it shows you. Okay? So it doesn't mean it's not going to work. It's just, it takes longer for you to visually see what's going on. David Hensel says, Matt, I want to slap some Carbon Earth Co. stickers on my backpack. Where do I find them? Dave, I have none of them. I'm sorry, but I honestly have none of them. So I need to eventually take some time to have that made, but I do not have any of them. I've never made any. Where am I? Step on those things barefoot. No way. No, sir. Oh, look. Oh, Ryan. 50 to 60% control and up to 90% control over several years. Remember, it's 10-0-0. You're putting down out 2 pounds per night of nitrogen per thousand when you apply it as a preem. The other thing, too, is that it will cake. It will layer cake the surface of the soil. And I've heard some horror stories from people, too, where you start to sacrifice the infiltration of water as that layer cake begins to form on the surface. Boy, here it is. It is 9:50. I have reached the end of the chat, and I have to say, this is probably the earliest I've done this since the start of the year. Australian YouTubers deal with the goat head a lot and it's called Bindy over there. Some videos out there of them on how to kill it. There you go. How early is too early to aerate and seed? Well, really, it's that's a difficult thing to stay. You can do it now, for instance, but really what you want to do is you want to wait until you're below. Thank you, Orion Mendling. Thank you, sir. Really what you want to do is you want to wait until you're you're out of disease pressure season, right? And the difficult to control diseases like your brown patch, like your Pythium. Because if you're trying to establish seed in those in a period where that disease pressure is still high, there's a very high chance of failure because those young tender seedlings are going to be have a very high potential for checking out due to the disease. So what you want to do is you want to wait until you're in a for sure defined cooling trend. One, if you're in a cooling trend, the evaporation rate of water you apply is going to be less. The second piece of it is that you're normally out of the disease season of things like a brown patch, like Pythium. So it just makes more sense that as you move into that cooling season, that's when you do it. How early is too early? Technically, you can do it now if you've got the fungicide plan, if you've got whatever the case may be. If you're going to put all that into it and you don't mind running the extra water and whatever else you have to do, then by all means, you can certainly do it now. I'll give you an example. At my lab right now, the temperature inside is around 41 degrees Celsius in the grow room right now. And I'm germinating fescue fine in it. But I also have automatic drip feed of irrigation on it. And I'm using methanoxin-coated seed because of those temperatures. So, that's what I have to do with it there. Aldo, is there a Carbon Earth product that you're proudest of? I guess the 818, because that was kind of the first of the first. If you go back and listen to the podcasts way back when, you'll see that was kind of the first rendition there. And so I'd say that one is probably the one I'm most proud of, and really the only one I care about, to be honest. Let's see. I put X grain down in early July and it works awesome. Almost ready to put some Carbon X in a couple weeks when this weather cools. A light dose, then a more than a month later. There you go. What do you recommend to kill weeds in newly seeded Bermuda in North Carolina? Germinated about 3 weeks ago. Oh man, good call. I would probably use some carfentrazone. Would be a good one. I don't know. I probably, if it only germinated about 3 weeks ago, I'd probably let it go a little longer. I'd probably give it until about 6 weeks. That's just me personally. But, and I don't know what kind of seed of Bermuda you went with, but you might be able to go even with some quinclorac and carfentrazone as a combination application too. That may work fine for you as well. What about overseeding zoysia with Kentucky bluegrass in the fall winter? I have no idea. Oh, Ray said don't. Olivia Sierra said, how low should I cut to mow out quackgrass from turf tight tall fescue? I don't think you'll be able to do it, so good luck. Good try. Maybe an inch, something like that. And give it a whirl. Is Turf's Up Radio on SiriusXM? No, but it is on turfsupradio.com. You can go there and check it out. You can download the app. You can tell Amazon Alexa to play it. However you want to go about it. Now, and also I'm trying to stream these now on YouTube as well too. So you should be good to go. Craig Stafford, my Bermuda's loving the balance. Yeah, I have to say, I've been watching. I've got it on Bermuda and fescue right now in the lab setting. And I got to say, I was a little nervous because when we first applied it, and this was a while back. This is probably like in, March or April timeframe, somewhere around there. When we first applied it, that first week, I was like, damn, and what is going on? And then after that first week, I was like, yes, here we go. What are you doing, Lushy? Lushy! Teasing, man. I love you, brother. Lush-X is not the redheaded stepchild of Carbon Earth. It's a special thing, man. That's just you, dude. That's all you, Lushy. You said you needed it, and I just wanted to figure out a way to get it to you. That's all. It's not a stepchild. That was all you. You told me what you needed, and I just did my best to provide it to you. That's all, man. Wasn't anything special about that at all. What is this? Let me try this again. All right, everybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. Thank you for being a part of the live stream. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be live again for Turfs Up Radio. We're going to have the segment we call Pick the Doc's Brain, where Ray in the chat is going to be live on the radio show, answering all questions, whatever the case may be. So if you've got questions for a pro that's going to be non-biased, non-judgmental, not influenced by a fertilizer manufacturer, and you have something to do, something to ask, then by all means, that's how you can do it. Jeff R84 says X-Soil is charged biochar. The analysis is less than a 111. Yes, so it's less than a 111, which is why we label it as a soil amendment. All right, everybody, I love you all. Don't forget, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Check it out. But I tell you, it starts earlier than that. Tomorrow at 6 a.m., get going with Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. Right after that, Darren Grunter's going to be live for the carpool. Going to be playing some old comedy bits and sketches. And then after that, let's see. No, yeah, I can't remember, but then after that, at some point at 4 o'clock, that's when I come on. And then after me, we got Keeping Up with Mr. Jones. We got Eric Jones who's going to be on again, a twofer. And then after that, we've got Hecubus bringing it down with the nightcap. All right, everybody, y'all have a good evening.
I just wanna love you.